Hello fellow kitsunes, it's John Worth here once again, classical musician, writer, and Babymetal fan. When I was still new to the band, and I mean really new, right at the beginning, I wrote an article for an online publication about this new group I'd discovered and trying to come to terms with the way they were taking over my life. And so for this episode, I wanted to create sort of a sample journey through that process. It was a strange trip. I think the trip to Babymetal fandom is strange for many people. Newbies should back accordingly. But before we get to that, a couple of things. One is I've gone through and edited the transcript and subtitles pretty carefully. But if they don't match up to the exact words I'm saying, it's because I've made some changes trying to optimize them for translation, maybe simplify some of the language. Hopefully viewers in other countries can get a more accurate idea of what's going on. Also, there's this week's top 5. This time is Akatsuki, Kagero, Divine Attack, Shine, and HeadBanger. It's a pretty normal collection for me, and these are some of my favorite songs. Metali would have been on the list too, but I left it off because it's part of the episode. One reason Akatsuki came out on top was this video I can't stop watching. It's one of those love letter compilations people put together. This one is to Sue. I find it moving, particularly how much work they must have gone to put it together. And it's linked in the description and definitely recommended. It also has one of those rapid fire scene change sections that I like. I don't know if anybody agrees with me on this, but here's an example. I don't know about you, but for me, one of the fun parts of the Babymetal experience is looking back at how weird it all was in the beginning. Sometimes I forget just how confused I was early on. So every now and again, I like to remind myself by pulling up a few reactors, early videos, and watch the looks on their faces and remember, oh yeah, that's what it was like. Those thoughts might be deep.
And is it just me? I need you guys to help me on this one. I need to know I'm not crazy. What is it about them? What is this emotion you feel? What is it?
Or maybe just, what the hell?
Whoa! Okay. I did not expect that.
In the article I mentioned earlier, I broke my Babymetal journey down into stages. It's sort of like the stages of grief if I were a masochist and it were the most fun I'd had in years. This story is an illustration. This is Metal with a Girl's Heart, Episode 5. So strange, I forget to remember. Hey, you should check out this video from a band I like. Okay, what are they called? Babymetal. It's a heavy metal band with a J-pop costume and choreo girl group out front. What the fuck? The 5 stages of Babymetal. Stage 1. Why would I want to watch that? You're mental, dude. Come on, just humor me on this. Fine, but don't expect me to like them. Okay, here we go. I'm not sure I know what I'm getting into. You definitely don't. Yay! It's nice to see they're having fun. They always seem so joyful all the time. I wonder what grumpy Babymetal looks like. Yay! Go, Momo. Look at the cute pop princesses. And the best-selling female metal band of 2024. No effing way. Sorry. Aha, gotcha! What the hell is going on? Where did the cute girls go? Oh, they're still plenty cute. That is heavy. Cute and heavy is a pretty good short description of Babymetal, in the music anyway. On a scale, I'd outweigh any two of them put together. What are they doing? They're doing Babymetal stuff. Is this as weird as I think it is? You'll understand one day. Well, understand-ish anyway. Glad to hear you're having a good time with this. This looks like a great concert to be at. Hope they do this one at the shows we're at. So, what do you think? The 5 stages of Babymetal. Stage 2. What the hell am I watching? Moa's got to tie her shoe. Gotta happen sometime. Who's she saying no to? Why is she so annoyed about it? You haven't figured out yet something crazy about to happen, and it's why Momo looks so happy. Does she ever look any other way? That's a good point. What the hell is this? This is completely out of control at this point. Somebody needs to rein these girls in. Look out. We're sorry. John is putting out a small fire in his brain. The program will resume shortly. Thank you for your patience. You okay? You look kind of pale. Where in her tiny kawaii self does that sound come from? I have no earthly idea. Wait, is that Tom Morello? It is. I wasn't expecting Rage Against the Machine to come up. The mistake is going into a Babymetal song expecting anything. Their weirdest songs are the ones where nothing weird happens. You got a point, I guess. That's a bad bit of compilation there. Switch day and night for no particular good reason. Seriously, I can't figure out why they would do that. Little pout at the end, I noticed. There's a good collection of pouts. Momo is so excited. So what do you think of Babymetal now? I don't know. The 5 stages of Babymetal. Stage 3. What the hell did I just watch? Maybe we should try another one. Okay, which one do you suggest? The 5 stages of Babymetal. Stage 4. Maybe I should try another one. And that, of course, was that. One video led to another, and the next thing you know, I'm on stage 5. Assimilation. I'm so far down the foxhole, I'm planning my summer around their tour schedule. The thing is, there's so much unusual stuff going on that at some point the weird stops penetrating my brain. And so that's when it's fun to go back and relive some of these moments and remember the absurdity. And yet, how they got me here. Of course, I started this project primarily to hear from fellow kitsunes. And thanks to everybody who's been following along and giving your opinions. I've never been part of a fandom before. It's interesting and kind of inspiring. I was sitting in rehearsal last night. I was wondering how I would explain to the 40 or so other classical musicians in the room why I rolled into the parking lot blasting Java. I'll be honest, I think they'd all look at me like I had two heads. So I appreciate all of you who do understand. I appreciate you very much. The project was also about trying to understand just what about Babymetal hooked me so deeply. And I'm 5 episodes in, and the question's only partly answered. I certainly could give you a dozen reasons why I shouldn't like them. I just don't know why none of those seem to matter. To answer the reactor GOT games, his question that I played earlier about whether it's just him who feels an extra level of emotion listening to Babymetal, I would say, don't worry, man. It's not just you. There's definitely something mysterious at work here. I see it all the time in comment sections, both in my videos and others that I watch. And part of the joy is finding so many stories that resonate with me, like other people who discovered the band when they were down and felt, I mean, there's something about these girls that are like rays of sunshine. It just can't help but make you smile. It's almost impossible to be in a bad mood when they're around. I think a Babymetal playlist should be classified as an antidepressant. And I know some of you have also echoed my loss of interest in music that I had. I mean, I hadn't been listening recreationally much for years before they came along. Mostly, I just listened to whatever I was preparing for a performance. So, what's the deal? It makes sense for long-term fans who watch them grow up to feel this sort of almost parental pride at what they've accomplished. But what about those of us who didn't discover them until they were adults? And one thing that's weird is that Sue never seems to try to be emotional. I never get the feeling she's forcing emotion into the performance. She's never resorting to this sort of overwrought sobbing into the microphone or all the terrible overacting that so many vocalists do. She doesn't explain the songs or her mood to the audience. And her vocal style is quite understated. She just sings, but the feeling is there. This is for a later episode. As we'll see later, in a way that understated style actually allows her to express emotion more easily because she never has to force it. She can bring it out with just a few simple musical gestures. Again, that's later. And actually, that may take 2. Explaining that to that may take a while. Also, as I discussed in episode 3, I'm always interested in a good sidekick story. And I find Sue and Moa's relationship just fascinating. And particularly how they balance their egos. Because they have to have them. No one can be a successful performer this long without an ego. But as far as I can tell, Moa isn't fighting to have more control over Babymetal or threatening to split off and form her own group. She just seems to have made it her ambition to be Sue's ride or die second in command. But it goes both ways. We live in a world where societies base a woman's value largely on her appearance. And that can cause friction. And groups can fall apart if the cameras, decide they prefer one member over the others. But Sue seems content to just stand aside and let Moa be the pretty one that the fans adore. And if you look around the music industry, and not just women, lead singers who suppress their ego enough to let a dance team member or a backing vocalist get that kind of shine, I just don't think that's normal. I've seen some of the stupid shit that can break up a group. And of course, they've survived so much more pressure than I can even comprehend. And their professionalism, that's just one more reason to have the utmost respect for them. Anyway, there's a ton of interesting thoughts there for yet another episode, if I make enough of these to get around to it. Normally I would be spending this time writing and maybe getting paid for it. So these videos are a money-losing operation. I don't know how many more I'll end up doing. We'll see. The way that's actually keeping me from writing is sort of a favor they've done, because I know this, believe it or not, I know this is weird, I'm a politics writer. Essays, opinion pieces, satire, and I know that is a really super weird side gig. And the problem with me, that I'm having at least, is that in order to write about politics, you have to follow the news. And I don't know if you've noticed, but it's kind of a shit show out there right now. The girls came along and gave me something else to write about, and in this case, also talk with all of you. And so, yes, there are some editors out there who may be pissed off that I'm not submitting any work. But for the moment, honestly, I just don't want to think about it. I'd rather listen to Metali and smile. Why? Hell if I know. I say that a lot, don't I? I ask these questions, why? And the answer is always, hell if I know. That seems to be the Babymetal way. As I mentioned in a previous episode, though, my first career was as a mathematician. I did logic for a living. But, I mean, that hasn't been enough to figure out what's up with these girls. They just seem to have cast some sort of a spell. And I've decided that I'm okay with that. I mean, even a scientist needs to know when to stop worrying and just enjoy the ride, right? I mean, when the trip is this good, who cares why? Anyway, so until we meet again, may your Babymetal journey be strange and magical too.